So I think everyone can see my screen, right? If not, do let me know in the chat box below. So thank you for taking time to join our webinar today that's hosted with NZCC. My name is Michelle and I'm the small business specialist at Xero. So what I do is mainly I work with small and medium businesses in Hong Kong, China, Korea, Japan, Indonesia, Myanmar, etc. On a day-to-day basis. And what I do is I help them move from more of a traditional kind of accounting software to a cloud accounting software, which we're going to go more into details today. So I'm guessing everyone here knows that Xero is an accounting platform, but what Xero can do is way more than just accounting, which I'll go into details later. And this would be our agenda for today. So first, I'll give everyone an introduction of Xero, and then we'll be jumping into the platform, and I'll be demoing some of the key functions and features of Xero, including our dashboard, our bank feeds in certain countries, as well as bank reconciliation. And we're also going to be going through the online invoicing and online billing function, which are some very popular features among our customers. We'll also be going into how you can very easily pull a report on Xero, as well as a relatively new function to Xero, which is called HubDoc. So it's a company that we acquired around half a year ago, actually earlier than that. But basically what they do is they help you automate and also manage your financial documents. So you understand more about that later in our demo. And if we have time, I'll also be going through our expense claim function as well as Xero projects. So these are some optional extra add-ons that you could add onto Xero, on top of our basic accounting function. And after that, I'll be sharing some of the information about Xero support that we provide for our customers. And then at the end, we'll have a Q&A session. So feel free to drop in any questions in the Q&A box, and I'll be answering them at the end of the session. So first of all, I'd like to give you all an introduction of Xero. So one of the reasons why we are working with NZCC today is because we are actually a Kiwi company. So we are founded in New Zealand, and our founder is actually an accountant. And throughout his job and working with small and medium businesses, he realized that a lot of SMEs are spending a lot of time on very mundane and kind of admin work, where they could actually spend more of that time focusing on developing their businesses if they actually have that automated. And that's how Xero was born. A lot of people think we are an Australian company because simply because we're listed there. But yeah, we're actually a Kiwi company. And I myself am based in Hong Kong. But as I mentioned, I also service customers across Asia. And in Hong Kong, we do have a small team set up here simply because of how fast the market has been growing here. And currently, we are used across 180 plus countries. So I'm sure some of you might be from Indonesia, some of you might be from Myanmar, Japan, Korea, China, Taiwan, etc. And some of you are probably just from Hong Kong. And by 31st of March 2020, we have 2.2 million subscribers across the world. Actually, I think the number might be around 2.3 million now. So when we talk about subscribers, we are referring to legal entities. So not just, because we don't charge per head. Instead of charging per user, we actually charge per legal entity. So meaning that there are around 2.2 million to 2.3 million companies around the world which are using Xero to manage their finances. So I'm guessing one of the biggest reasons you guys here today is you'd like to understand more about Xero. You might be using another desktop accounting software and you'd like to consider Xero for your business. So why use Xero is a very common question. First of all, because we are built in the cloud, we have very strong connectivity, meaning that even though we are just an accounting platform, we can connect to banks. And on the other hand, we are also connected to more than 800 apps across different functions, meaning that you could have the function of, for example, inventory, HR, etc., and have it connected to Xero where the data will be flowing through to each other. So that I'll also be covering more later in my sharing today. And secondly is probably because of our support. So we do have a 24/7 support team, and they are located around the world, which is why they could service you anytime. And thirdly, even though the most expensive subscription of Xero is just $40 per month, we actually do have an enterprise grade performance. Our uptime is actually 99.9%, which is on par with Google. So meaning that at a very affordable price, you would be able to enjoy kind of an ERP level of service. And aside from that, data protection is also one of our biggest priorities. So we do put in a lot of work in terms of protecting your data or building up a security system. And last but not least, because Xero's constantly innovating. So this is one of the biggest differentiators which set us apart from our competitors, because Xero's only product is actually our accounting software. And that's very different from other accounting software because accounting software in their case is only a very small portion of their entire software company. It might be like one out of their hundreds of products. But for Xero, because we only have one product, so whatever resources we have, we're always putting it back into the accounting software and constantly innovating it for our customers. So before we go further into Xero, I think it might be important, or it might be helpful for us to kind of understand a bit more about the fundamental differences between a desktop accounting software versus a cloud or an online accounting software. So for a traditional kind of a desktop software, meaning, for example, MYOB, Peachtree, Sage, this kind of accounting software, you kind of buy it in a licensed form. So what it means is that as you buy the license, it goes with one of your desktop computer or laptop, and it can only be used on that specific device. So meaning that the data is locked in the desktop. And if you've been working from home, which I know most of us have because of COVID, or yesterday there was a typhoon in Hong Kong. So you would understand how troublesome it would be to have your data locked in one place and not being able to have access to it. Or even though your company might have remote access, it's still very slow from what my customers told me. And that really further decrease your efficiency as you're working from home. And aside from that, when your data is only stored in one location, so for example, in your desktop computer, or your company has a server that stores the information, the thing is, it's actually very dangerous when you come to think of it, because if anything happens to that server, which I know has happened to a lot of people, there isn't anything that you could do. You cannot access any of the data, and all you can do is wait for IT to kind of save that server. So for example, if anyone breaks into your office, then and destroys the server, or flooding, etc., then all your data is pretty much gone. A lot of people kind of opted for desktop accounting software because they felt like buying a license is actually more cost effective. But as you think about it, it's actually not the case, because for desktop accounting software, they come up with a newer version kind of every year. But for you to enjoy the newer version, you would have to pay extra, or as your company is expanding, you want to add more users into the system, you also have to pay more for each user. So the cool thing about cloud or online accounting software is that because we're built in the cloud, we're online. So you don't actually have to install anything for you to access our accounting platform. Essentially, you could access it anywhere on any device as long as the device have access to the internet. So with that, it means that everything is being updated in real time, which makes it a lot easier for collaboration. So for example, I'm here, I issued an invoice numbered 001. My colleague on the other end, when she is also issuing an invoice, the invoice number that she sees would already be invoice 002. So there would not be any like overlapping or misunderstanding between us because everything's simply updated immediately. And regarding our updates, we actually always have auto updates and we do not charge you extra for that. It's done in the background as well, so it wouldn't really affect your usage of our system whatsoever. It's also very, very unlikely that we'll have, for example, a period when the system's down for maintenance because everything is simply happening in the background. So now when we say as anywhere, anytime, any device, cloud might still be kind of a blurry concept to some of you. So by cloud, we don't mean that all data is like going up. In fact, it stays on the ground or sometimes even like underground. And by cloud servers, we just mean that the servers are kind of organized in a more systematic and stronger because of the network. So the cloud host that we're using is Amazon Web Services, and AWS, as you would know, is one of the biggest cloud hosts in the world. And it is much more secure, first of all, because they actually have multiple servers around the world. So instead of having, one server in your office where there's a security guard downstairs that sometimes dozes off or is on his phone, we actually have around the clock physical security around all those servers, across the world. And, if very unluckily one of the servers is down, you still can access your data because your data is actually stored on multiple servers. So you'd still be able to use Xero. And our system also have multiple firewall layers and network security. And we have actually gotten one of the highest level of security assurance certification from EY, which if you're interested in learning more, you can reply to my follow-up email later and get more information about that. We also have regular inspections from third party, and as a matter of fact, we do hire hackers to kind of try to hack into our system just to ensure that our security system is intact. And on your end, what you can do is you can actually set up a two-step authentication to strengthen your security. So that what that means is that aside from having an email address and password to log in, what you also have to enter is kind of a unique code that is generated on your phone to ensure that it is you who's actually logging into your Xero account. So after we've talked about kind of the differences between desktop or the traditional kind of accounting software versus cloud or online accounting software, there's also a big difference between how the old way small businesses are using to manage their finances. So in your case, you might be still issuing hard copy invoices, and when you go out and have, for example, meals with your clients, you might have to keep the receipt and have it stored in a shoebox or a bag, which you take to your auditor at the end of the year for them to do the auditing for you. And you might be keeping track of your finances on an Excel sheet, for example, sales and then bills, but they're all in different spreadsheets, and it might be difficult for you to have a very quick and clear overview of how your business is actually doing. Or you might be using one of the desktop or offline accounting software, and which we mentioned, it is difficult for you to get a real-time view as well because it's not updated in real time, and sometimes it might be hard for you to access it even. So because of the limitations of their functionality, for example, you're still using an old function, a lot of the times, if you want to generate a report, you will have to do a lot of manual formulas and calculations. And given that you have the time and manpower, you might be able to generate a monthly report, or, if you don't really have the time, maybe just a quarterly report. Or if you are currently working with a bookkeeper or accountant who generates a monthly report for you, what I hear a lot is that a lot of the times they still don't get an up-to-date view of their finances, because it takes time for you to compile all the information and get it sent to them. And then on their end, obviously you would not be the only client. So it would take them, for example, a week or two to compile, let's say, a management report and send it back to you. So by the time you get to review your performance of last month, it might be like in the middle of this month already. So as a business owner, you would understand how difficult that makes things, because your decisions would not be the most well-informed in that case. So what Xero is trying to do is to actually digitalize the lifeblood of financials. And by digitalizing everything, we have it centralized on Xero, where you can be issuing online invoices, you can connect it to online payment gateway. And if you're in markets where we are connected to the banks, you would be able to directly have your bank transactions flow into Xero, and you would be able to do bank reconciliation. And even if in your market there aren't banks that are connected to Xero yet, I'll be showing you how easy it is to have the system automate bank reconciliation for you. And having all the data in real time on your dashboard, it means that you could see how your business is performing in the day or even in the past hour. So what we're talking about on Xero is that everything's stored in one single ledger in the cloud. That means no matter you're the owner of the business, you're the manager, or you're simply the accountant who is looking after this business, when you log into Xero, the data or the information that you see is gonna be the same. But of course, given that there are different user rights in Xero, for example, if you're an intern and your user right is only to draft invoice, obviously you will not be able to see the P&L. But what I mean essentially is that given that you have the same user rights, when you log in, you're gonna see the identical information. So you wouldn't need to hop on a call to kind of explain things. Everything's clear right there. And it's also easier for your accountant to just give you better insights. So aside from that, as I previously mentioned, Xero is more than just an accounting software, and it would make more sense for you to view it as a platform, really. So similar to how when you purchase a mobile phone, one of the basic function obviously would be for you to be able to make calls on it. And similar to that, Xero's core function would be accounting. But on your phone, I believe you have numerous apps on it, and whatever apps there are, it highly depends on your personal preferences. And same here. So aside from accounting, we are connected to more than 800 apps across different functions like inventory, POS system, HR, reporting apps. So it highly depends on what your business needs at this stage. And you would be able to customize a solution for yourself at a very affordable price. So instead of having to, invest a lot in ERP solution in order to make it to suit your business needs, as your business evolved, you would be able to put together a very customized solution very easily, throughout the ecosystem that we kind of have built. And the great thing about this is also the data across the apps would be flowing to each other because in the backend, our APIs are connected. And remember in the beginning when we talked about why use Xero, I mentioned that Xero is constantly innovating. So here I would like to give you a solid understanding of how constantly we're innovating. So in the past 12 months, we actually have launched more than 4,000 updates. And a lot of the times these updates are actually based on our customers' direct feedback to us. So what Xero has is a platform named Business Community. On there, our different customers would be able to start discussions about a certain feature, or you can raise suggestions to our product team about certain features that you'd like to see. So in the past, we have definitely included our customers' feedback into our product updates. And specifically in Asia, previously customers have suggested, for example, they want to see a QR code on the invoices so that it makes it easier for their clients to pay them. Or some of the people are busy, always on the run. They usually issue invoices using our Xero mobile app. So from there, they would like to directly be able to send that invoice to their customers via, for example, WhatsApp, or in China, in that case, WeChat. So what our team has done is we've taken those into consideration, and we've actually built these features into our product. So if there are any features that you'd like to see, but it's not currently on Xero, do feel free to hop on our business community and share your recommendations, so that customers from across, from all over the world would be able to vote. And of course, the suggestions with a higher vote would be able to, it would be easier for our product team to see them and take them into consideration. Okay, so how small businesses get paid faster with Xero. So this, in fact, is why a lot of small businesses look into Xero in the first place. I believe it's the same for all businesses. You always want to get paid faster, have better cash flow. So the way that Xero can help you in this is, first of all, we help you issue online invoicing. So what that means is that it'd be very easy for you to kind of shoot an invoice to your customer. It'd be easy for them to keep track of it, for you to see when they have read the invoice. And secondly, because we're connected to payment gateways like PayPal and Stripe, you would be able to collect payments much easier, because your customer can simply click on the button Pay Now on your invoice and directly pay you. And thirdly, we do have automated invoice reminders. So if you're busy and you're not always on top of your overdue invoices, don't worry, because the system will be taking care of that for you, as long as you've set, for example, 7 days overdue, then an invoice reminders get sent automatically from the system. It also makes it less awkward when you have old customers who are not paying you yet, and you also don't want to push them. So the system will be able to do that for you. So the reason why this is so important to small businesses is also because it's taking up a lot of time. So our statistics found that small businesses are spending on average 5 weeks a year chasing overdue invoices. And with Xero, the number has actually reduced from 57 days in 2015 to 20 days in 2019 in terms of the average debtor days. And of course, as we are continuing to innovate, we do hope to bring that number further down. And in terms of saving time, another feature that I'm gonna share with you would be our direct bank feed. So this is for Hong Kong only. We also have direct bank feeds in Malaysia, Singapore, etc. So if you want to understand more about the bank feeds in your region, do reach out after this webinar, and I'll be able to walk you through that in details. But for Hong Kong, we are currently working with HSBC, DBS, Hang Seng, Needs, and World First. So what it means is that as long as you have a corporate account at these banks, you would be able to connect it to Xero, because we are official partners, and in the backend, our APIs are connected. So after 2 to 3 working days, after the banks have confirmed your details, etc., the transactions should start flowing into Xero automatically. But of course, if in your region there are no banks that are working with Xero yet, or if you're not using any of these banks, you can also still very easily enjoy our other features like the invoice reminder simply by importing a bank statement. So I'll also be demonstrating that later on in terms of how to import that. And even if you are using HSBC, Hang Seng, DBS, etc., if you'd like to have your historical data on Xero, you still have to use the import method, because due to security reasons, only transaction data after you have established the direct bank feed connection will be flowing into Xero. So talking about saving time, on average, SMEs spend 15.5 hours a month manually reconciling their bank statement data. So how you might doing it might be you have a hard copy bank statement, and then you have all your sales and bills, and then you would take and cross-check everything. So what Xero can do for you is to automate that process, and we can actually help you, help you identify 90% or more of the transactions as direct match. So what it means by direct match is that Xero would kind of pick up on the different information, for example, the name, the amount, and then have the bank transaction match with transactions in Xero, which we'll go into that in a minute. And then, as I mentioned, HelpDoc is now a part of our Xero subscriptions. You will be able to do this to use this for free. So it is a data capture solution that that helps you save time on manual bookkeeping tasks, because you can simply take a photo of a receipt and it captures all the key information, and then you would be able to select which account it belongs to, as in under the chart of accounts, and then a transaction will kind of be automatically generated for you with the soft copy of the receipt attached. So it might still sound a bit abstract now, and that is why we'll jump into our demo right now. And you would be able to understand more about it in a minute. So when we talk about using Xero, I mentioned how there like doesn't need to be any installation. There isn't any installation required, because all you have to do is go to your browser, type in xero.com, and then click login. And then you can just log in and access all your data. So once we've logged in, you would be able to see a blue bar here, and then here's the dashboard. So if you are currently on our 30-day free trial and there are functions that you're unsure of yet you want to test out, you don't necessarily have to test it out in your own trial account as you set it up. What you can do is use a demo company. So this comes with every trial account, every subscription, and there is some preloaded data in there that you could use to test out certain features. And the way that you can access it is actually click on the top left-hand side drop-down menu, go to My Xero. So My Xero is where you would be able to manage your subscriptions. Let's say you want to turn your free trial into an actual paying subscription, you can do it here. Or unfortunately, you want to delete your subscription, you can also do it here. And down here, you would be able to see try the demo company. So here you can also change the region or edition, where you would be able to see how that specific version works, for example, in another region. And after you've tested things out, you can always reset the demo company, and then it would kind of go back to the way it was in the beginning. So today, our demo session's also gonna be based on this demo company. So from what you can see now, you can see, first of all, our dashboard. Our dashboard is where you can get a very quick overview of how your business is doing. So for example, are you spending more money or are you earning more money? Who owes you money? How many of them are overdue? Whose money do you owe? And how much of that is also overdue? You can also look at expense claims if you do have that add-on. So business is where your day-to-day, takes place. For example, issuing invoices, issuing bills, and under accounting would be the different reports that you can pull. Contact, of course, you can add different contacts here. So first of all, I think I'm gonna go into issuing an invoice, because that is one of the most popular functions of Xero. So for example, when I click into sales overview, you would be able to see both quotes and invoices. You don't necessarily have to issue a quote first. You can always just directly issue an invoice. You can issue it by clicking on this new button, or use this plus sign up here, which are the shortcuts. So for example here, I am going to issue an invoice to ABC Furniture. You can also always just add a new contact. You don't have to use the existing ones. And the due date would be 7 days later. So you just have to type in the number of days and the date will be automatically calculated for you. Invoice number right here could be customized. You don't have to have an invoice number starting with INV. And down here, the base currency for a demo company is US dollars, but you can always add different currencies because our premium version does support multi-currency. So for example, I'm gonna add Hong Kong dollars right here. As you can see, we have a partnership with xe.com, meaning that it supplies Xero with the latest exchange rate of the hour. So this would be the latest USD rate right here. I can add this as a currency. Or if you prefer to use a fixed exchange rate, you can also fix it here. And all the unrealized or realized gains or losses would be automatically calculated for you. So here, there is a column named item. Note that this will not be displayed once you've issued an invoice. What they'll see is simply the description, quantity, etc. This is just for your internal use to, keep track of your inventory. So as I mentioned before, Xero's core function is accounting, but we do have a very basic inventory function. So as you can see here, for example, in terms of some black t-shirts that I have, the system would remind me that I currently have 5 in my inventory. But if I try to sell 10, it would turn red and alert me that I only have 5. So the accounting method that is used here is first in, first out. And if your business requires issuing an invoice first and then buying more stocks, then you would have to connect Xero to an app that specifically deals with more complicated inventory methods. And on Xero, the cost of goods sold is also weighted average. And if you want to look into the accurate cost, then you also have to connect Xero to an inventory app in order to be able to do that. So coming back here, I'm just gonna sell 3 for now because I only have 5. And if your business provides services, then you can always just type in, for example, consulting 10 hours. So once you've issued an invoice, you can save it, and depending on what kind of user level you have, for example, your user level is only to draft invoice, then obviously what you'll see is just save and submit for approval. But if you're the owner and you have the advisor role, which is the highest level of user, then you can simply click approve and look at the invoice. So here you can take a look at how it's gonna be like when your customer receives the invoice, whether they're viewing it on a desktop computer, on a laptop, or from their mobile phone. So the layout of this could be customized. You could definitely add your own logo and also change these texts into, for example, Chinese. You can always do that. And if you're interested, again, you can reach out to me after the session and I'll be able to share a customized invoice webinar link with you. So if everything looks good, we can directly send the invoice out. So here you can also include the invoice as a PDF attachment, as well as include other documents right here and get it sent. So the cool thing about being able to directly email your customer the invoice is that they can actually see the most updated version. So we're still waiting for that to show up in our inbox. So why don't we take a look at some of the old invoices first. So as you can see, there would be a PDF attachment here. Taking some time to load, might be because of my internet. So the thing about online accounting software is that it also depends on the speed of your internet. Okay, so it loaded, and right here, just the usuals, you would be able to see the quantity, price, etc. And then they can also click on this link and pay online. But another thing that, or the more preferred way is for them to click into the online link. And the reason why is that if they have any questions or comments, they can always directly just message you. And even if they're not using Xero, they'll still be able to do that. And on your end, from the invoices down here, you would be able to see any history or notes. So if they have sent you a question on the specific invoice, you would be able to see them here. And if I click show history, you also see all of the changes that's been made to this invoice, because we do value audit trail very much. We want you to be able to see who has issued an invoice, who has made changes to the invoice. We want you to be able to track all of that, which is also the reason why we do not charge per user. We charge per legal entity. So if, let's say they say it's too expensive, on your end, you can always simply edit an invoice. You don't have to void the invoice. And once you've edited the invoice, once they refresh on their end, they would be able to see the most updated amount here. And if they're okay with that, they can directly pay. So that's one of the cool things about clicking into that online link, is that you don't have to have as much back and forth, because everything is done online seamlessly. So this would be how invoices are, issued. And in terms of bills, it's also very similar in terms of issuing bills. A question that I get often is people ask me, how can I search for a specific bill? So if you can see here right on the top right-hand corner, there is a small search button, and once you click into it, it expands into a field where you can enter further details, including reference number, contact or amount, as well as the start and end date. So here you would be able to kind of narrow down, the bills that you want to look at and search for a specific one. So now that we've covered the online invoicing and billing function, what I want to do is look into bank reconciliation with you. So right here, back at the dashboard, as we look at a bank account, you can see there are two balances. One is the balance in Xero as you issue bills and invoices. Another would be your bank statement balance, be it automatically like flowing into Xero, or you've imported a bank statement. So as we can see here, the difference between the Xero balance and the bank balance is pretty big. And that is when we need to do reconciliation. So it tells us we have 27 items that we need to reconcile. Once we clicked into it, again, you'd be able to see two columns. So on my left, on the left-hand side, it would be the bank statement lines. And then on the right-hand side, it would be the Xero transactions. So as you can see, some of them are green in color. Essentially, if it's green, it means that it is a direct match. And what it means is that the system has identified the name is a match, Ridgeway University, the amount 6,187.5, as well as the reference number sometimes. So once you click OK, you're essentially approving this bank reconciliation, and behind that, a double entry will be automatically generated for you. So if in this case for Smart Agency, on our right-hand side, there isn't any direct transaction that is matched. So what we can do is use this last tab here, Find and Match. You can search by name or reference or the amount. I usually prefer searching by name first. So once I searched for Smart Agency, all of the transactions on Xero relating to Smart Agency would pop up here. And I would be able to select both of them to match the amount that we've spent. So 4,500 is for 01950210. So essentially just paying for two bills. So as I mentioned, once the name and the amount, etc., match, it turns green again, and then we can do the reconciliation. And again, the double entry will be done automatically in the background. And if there are recurring transactions in your company, you can always set up a rule. So it doesn't matter if it's spending money, receiving money, or transferring money. For example, take my office as an example. We always buy snacks from 7-Eleven, so a convenience store. And whatever that expense is, we always put it under 453, so office expenses. So a rule that I can set up is that as long as the payee contains the word 11, please put that item under 453 office expenses. And once I've saved this rule, what Xero is doing is that it will execute for you. So you don't have to do it yourself. And okay, here's also another example. So for city limousines, right here we received $100. And again, there isn't a match on Xero. We can again use the find and match function. You can see city limousines transactions right here, but the amount's not matched. You can still click into 0006, the invoice, and then you would be able to see a split button. So you can split this transaction if you need to record a part payment. So for example, here we are receiving a part payment of $90. So when I scroll down, because the amount is not matching the $100, you can see it's alerting me that the total is out by $10, and I also won't be able to reconcile. So for example, when you're in situations where there is a bank fee, there is a credit card fee, etc., or simply in terms of the exchange rate, there's a minor difference, you can always scroll down here and use the adjustments function. So here I'm gonna try out the bank fees function. You can also directly put it into the relevant account, $10. And again, once the amount matches, it becomes green again and I can directly click reconcile. So of course, the coolest feature on Xero is that we have machine learning in our platform, meaning that the platform will be constantly trying to learn your habits and will be able to act smarter the next time there's a similar transaction. So what we're looking at here, for example, 14th of August, Cooper Street Bakery. Let's say we've spent around $16 on something. So on the right-hand side right now, there isn't a match on Xero yet because maybe I just purchased a cake like literally half an hour ago. So what we can do is we can create a transaction to be matched with that bank transaction. Here, Cooper Street Bakery. I can add that as a new contact. Which account? So I can put it under entertainment, for example. For what? So a colleague's farewell party. So once I click OK, and the next time I come in here, there's also another transaction at the same bakery on, let's say, the 15th of August. From what you can see here on the right-hand side, everything's been automatically filled in based on what I filled in last time. Of course, you can always change whichever account it is, depending on the situation. But essentially, it just gets smarter and smarter and saves you more time as you use it more and more. If this is still too time consuming for you, for example, if you run an e-commerce and you have hundreds of transactions per day, then you can opt for this function next door that's called cache coding. So essentially, cache coding is still doing bank reconciliations, except that we're doing it much faster. So here you can see it kind of looks like an Excel sheet. The functionality is also similar in the way that you can filter it. So for example, here I'm filtering it by payee. So the great thing about cache coding is that it allows you to select up to 2,000 transactions at one go. So for example, I'm selecting all the Central City parking transactions right now and I'm putting them under travel. Then I can click save and reconcile. Then all of them would go to the corresponding account. So this would be a very quick way for you to deal with all your transactions. But do note that cache coding is only available for users with an advisor user role. So if you are a standard user right now, you wouldn't be able to see this unless someone, change your user role to advisor. So that would be the logic behind bank reconciliation. So of course, it would be more convenient if you are already using a bank that is working with Xero. But if you're not, or if you're trying to import historical data, what can you do? So right here at the bank account, click on the 3 dots, and then you would be able to see import a statement. So this works the same way for everything across Xero. So for anything that you want to import into Xero, invoices, bills, contacts, there always is a CSV template that you can download. So always move your data onto our template and then import it. I'll give you a look. I'll let you see how it looks like in terms of our bank statement import template. So as you can see, there are different columns, but the only columns that you have to fill in definitely would be the ones here with a star. So that means the must fill the columns that you definitely have to fill in would be the date and amount. And once you've copy and pasted everything onto this sheet, do note that for Xero, the debit and credit are in the same column. So once you've compiled everything, we can go back to Xero and then upload the bank statement file there. So what the system will do is that it will identify how many statement lines there are, whether there are any duplicates. If no, then everything will be imported here on the left-hand side, and that's how you can do bank reconciliation. So this would be how it works for bank reconciliation. Next, I want to take a look at reports. So a lot of people might be like, oh, I cannot really see that many reports on your system. I don't think it's comprehensive enough, but actually all you have to do is to click into the reports tab, and that's where you could see the complete list of reports that are available on Xero. So there are around 50 to 60 reports on Xero that's available for you to use. And today we're going to take a look at profit and loss report. So for you to edit a report, there's always an edit layout button on the left-hand corner. Once you click into it, as you can see, everything is actually pretty intuitive, and that's also why some people call us the Apple of accounting software. So for example, if I want to move interest income here, you can always just drag and drop. If I want to take a look at the previous months or a different quarter, different financial year, you can just simply select it and move it here. Again, want to look at June. You can also freely create any formula you want right here. So you can easily create a formula for variance, or in this case, I'm just going to look at the performance in the past quarter. Let's say Q3. So you can click done. And once we've clicked done, all the numbers will be automatically calculated for you, of course. And you can also export this file as a PDF, this report as a PDF file, as Excel or Google Sheets for you to further edit it. So as you can see, some numbers are in blue. So that essentially is a hyperlink, and you'd be able to click into it and see a more detailed account breakdown. So if you have different transactions of different currencies going on, you'd be able to see it here. It tells you the exchange rate that we're using. And that would be how you pull a report. So this is pretty much what is available on Xero. But before we go into some further add-ons that you could use, I want to take you to HubDoc. So you can click on your top left-hand corner and then you'd see HubDoc. So click on it and then you would be able to see a guide that kind of teaches you how to set up HubDoc. Because HubDoc is a relatively newly acquired company. So The way that it connects to Xero still requires a bit of setup on your end. But on my end, because I've already completed the setup, I'll be able to show you directly. So as you can see, you can also sign in with Xero. So this, again, is also a free function that is included in your Xero trial or Xero subscription. So first of all, what we can see is an upload document button. Here, you would be able to upload receipts on the go with the HubDoc mobile app. Just take a photo and everything will show up here. Or you can also, have everything scanned on a scanner and submit it by email directly from your scanner right here. There's a unique email that you can submit. Or, like me, for example, you prefer to store everything on the laptop first. You can upload the receipts directly here as well. So on our left-hand side, you can see a folder named Uploads, and down there are different folders. For example, Nike, and then, for example, Taxi. So all of these are actually automatically categorized by the system because the machine learning in HubDoc would be able to identify the supplier and simply categorize different receipts into different folders depending on the supplier. As for the receipts, once you've uploaded them, if the system's still trying to pick up the data, it would be under processing. If everything's done, it would be under review. So right here, this is where you can cross-check the information that it has captured automatically. For example, supplier Lululemon, date November 17th, total amount 880 Hong Kong dollars. So because it is AI, so sometimes it might get a bit confused about where you are, but simply correct the currency if it's not correct, and the next time, again, it will become smarter. So after cross-checking that all the information is correct, what we can do is directly push this transaction into Xero by selecting which account it goes under. Once we've done that, we can click Publish. And then essentially, it will be pushed into Xero. So what this means is that you already get 2 electronic copies of your receipts. One is on HubDoc and the other one will be on Xero. So let's take a look at that specific transaction generated along with the receipt attached on Xero. The way it's gonna look like is just like a normal everyday Xero transaction. It's spent money. It's under the entertainment account as we selected. And then right here, there would be the receipt. So if you're still feeling insecure about it, you can also choose to push a third copy of that specific receipt into a destination that you preferred. For example, Google Drive or Dropbox. So what this means is that it helps you save time. You no longer have to organize all the hard copy receipts. You no longer have to waste space storing them. And at the end of the day, very often these receipts, the color comes off anyway, making it difficult to see what's printed on it. And at the end of the year with HubDoc, you would be able to just invite your auditor into Xero because, again, we have unlimited users. You can invite him or her into Xero as a read-only user, and from there, they would be able to look at each transaction and easily see the supporting evidence right here. So now that we've covered all the basic functions that a Xero subscription would cover, I want to take a look at pricing together. So as mentioned, some of you might be on our 30 days free trial. Some of you might not have started a free trial. You can always start it on our website. So we do have 3 different plans. The first one would be the starter plan, $20 per month. But it does have its limitations in the sense that it only allows you to send 5 invoices and quotes, 5 bills, and only 20 bank transactions can be reconciled, which is why the more popular plan is actually the standard plan, which is $30 per month. And the only difference between premium, $40 per month, and standard is that premium will be able to handle multi-currency, and standard is single currency only. So if, let's say, your company has transactions in Hong Kong dollars, US dollars, then you would be needing the premium subscription, $40 per month. So all of our prices are in USD, and we charge per legal entity. So we do not charge per user. And if your company is looking for a bit more functionality in terms of, for example, Xero projects. So Xero projects is designed for companies that, that take freelance jobs, kind of, for example, design, or they do videography. Then they kind of need to keep track of how much time they've been spending or how much money they've been spending on each project. And Xero projects would be able to help you keep track of that. So for our add-ons, the pricing model is a bit different. In this case, it would be per user. So in order to enjoy Xero projects as an add-on function, it would be $7 per month on top. And then after that, it would be dependent on how many active users are using Xero projects. By active users, we mean whoever have logged in and, like, for example, recorded a time entry, then that would be counted as an active user. Similar with Xero expenses, it would be $4 per month as a basic add-on. And then from there onwards, it depends on how many active users there are that month. So for example, there are 3 staff who submitted expense claims that month. Then that the extra charge would be $4 times 3, so $12 on top. And let's say that month, no staff has submitted any expense claims. That would still be $4 per month because you chose to add this function on top of your Xero subscription. So a lot of the audience might be wondering, what's the difference between Xero expenses and HubDoc? And if HubDoc's for free, why don't I just use HubDoc? Why would I have to add Xero expenses? So I'd say it really depends on how your company prefers to operate. So essentially, the only fundamental difference there is between Xero expenses and HubDoc is that there is an approve or decline button for Xero expenses. I can give you a quick look at it. So for example, if someone has submitted an expense claim, what I can do here is I can approve or decline. Whereas on HubDoc, as long as you've added a certain staff as a user, they would be able to upload their own receipts without any approval or decline system in place. So it depends on how your office works, really. So for example, if you're comfortable with your finance staff doing it offline, for example, all the staff bringing the receipts or like verbally asking them, oh, can I expense this? And if they can, then they upload it onto HubDoc themselves, then that's fine. You wouldn't be needing expense claims. You wouldn't be needing Xero expenses. But if you have like different offices, for example, in Singapore and Hong Kong and Japan, and you prefer to have that approval process done online, then you could opt for Xero expenses for your company. So that would be most of the functionality that I want to cover today. I can also give you a quick look at our app marketplace, where you would be able to find apps of different functions as well as ratings on it. So for example, in terms of inventory, there are many options, and from the ratings, you can see which ones are more popular. A lot of the times, they also offer a free trial as well, so you can take a look at them. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out to their sales representative. So after we've covered the functionality, I'd also like to walk you through the support that Xero will be able to give you. So for example, you would be able to watch tutorial videos that teaches you how to use Xero. So it's called Xero TV. You can see it as kind of a Xero-only YouTube where you find different videos on Xero. You can also make use of our help center, which is called Xero Central. And from there, you would be able to search for different kind of self-help guides or setup guides. So for example, how to set up a tracked inventory. It will show you the most relevant result. And from there, it will take you step by step through what you have to do in order to achieve what you're searching for. There are also learning courses that you can take, webinars that you can join. And if you encounter any technical difficulties, we do have the 24/7 award-winning support team, as I mentioned. So you can click on your icon on the top right-hand side, My Cases. So actually, even in my case, even though I'm working for Xero, there are still a lot of technical things that I'm unsure of. So what I'll do is I'll also submit a ticket and ask my colleagues from the customer support team. So as you can see here, click on Contact Xero Support. And then choose the relevant topic. So do choose the corresponding topic because we have different specialists for each topic. And by choosing the right one, we will be able to allocate the right people to answer your questions more quickly. So ask your question here and do provide more details so that we understand a bit more about your situation. And I also highly encourage you to upload screenshots to be able to portray the situation you're in. And do invite Xero support into your organization because due to security reasons, at this moment, if you haven't invited Xero support into your organization, no one can actually see anything in your account. So if you need help and you want them to directly help you take a look, do tick that box and then submit a ticket. So for example, in Hong Kong, the average time it takes for Xero support to get back to a customer would be around 26 minutes. So of course, if you do prefer hopping on a call the traditional way, you can actually request for it. So you can type in here that you'd like to hop on a call, but do provide your contact information and secondly, your time zone, because our support team is located around the world, for example, in the US, in Canada, in Australia. So they would need to know your time zone in order to be able to find someone right to call you. And do expect the call time to be 3 to 4 hours after you've submitted the ticket, because it does take some time for them to arrange the call with you. Sometimes they might also ask for you to share your screen or for them to control your screen in order to help you more effectively. So that might happen. But yeah, so that would be the support that we provide. Of course, during your trial, if you have any questions, do feel free to pop me and to just like drop me an email or like send me a message on my mobile phone. I will be able to answer you as best as I'll try my best to answer you, but for any technical questions, it's always best to contact them first. Okay, coming back to our deck. So I have covered the functionality of that. Again, our pricing, $20, $20 US dollars, $30 US dollars, and $40 US dollars. If your company has multi-currency transactions, you will have to use the premium one. And thank you for joining me today at this webinar. So as a special gift, we do have a limited number of promo codes that give you a 50% off your first 4 months of subscribing to Xero. So if you are interested in this, do feel free to reach out to me